Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 72 of Be With Me, 7 Minutes of Biblical Wonder. We're in a section where Jesus is talking about his return. And he's basically saying, don't be caught unaware. I'm coming at an unexpected hour, so it will be quote unquote sudden by our assessments. But in the meantime, be ready. It's not unexpected that I'm coming back, so be ready. And it's referred to in our passage today as a term called that day. And he basically says that day is coming. And the passage today is instructive on how not to be ready, as well as how to be ready. So this is from Luke chapter 21, and I'm going to start at verse 34. And you'll note the warning right off the bat. But watch yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and cares of this life, and that day come upon you suddenly like a trap. For it will come upon all who dwell on the face of the earth. But stay awake at all times, praying that you may have strength to escape all these things that are going to take place, and to stand before the Son of Man. And every day he was teaching in the temple, but at night he went out and lodged on the mount called Olivet. And early in the morning, all the people came to him in the temple to hear him. So first, let's just talk about a housekeeping teaching about the Great Week. So this is Tuesday of the Great Week. He dies on Friday, and we find out the pattern of what he's doing each day. Every day he's teaching in the temple, and at night he's going out and lodging on Mount Olivet, or maybe just past that into Bethany, which is where Mary and Martha, also where Simon the leper was. And then he comes back in the morning and he teaches in the temple. So that's the pattern for the week. Specifically here, he's finishing a long diatribe about against the Pharisees, for starters, but also about this eschatological, the end times, where he's coming back. So he's saying, be very careful, watch yourself, stay awake, engage in a spiritual alertness, and be faithful and ready, and have your heart all primed up, ready to go when I return. I was thinking about, if wherever you are right now, if Jesus came and knocked on your door and walked into the room you're sitting in, are you going to be ready? It's going to be that sudden. Is there unfinished business? And he talks about some of the unfinished business that one would likely be ashamed of. So he describes three things. He says, let your heart not be weighed down with the cares of life, with drunkenness, and with dissipation. Now, the cares of life, I think we understand very easily. Are you weighed down by the cares of somebody being sick, or a job situation, or relationships, or a health matter, or money matters? There's all kinds of things that are a part of this life, and God understands that. He invented all that stuff to begin with and put us into this world. So he understands that this is sometimes difficult. The second thing that could weigh us down is drunkenness. Now, let's just talk about actual alcohol drinking for a second. The Bible speaks positively about merriness with alcohol. It talks about positively about celebration. It talks about enjoyment. But then there's a limit to this, and that is the control and forfeiting control. And gone bad, this can be evidence of a non-readiness, that you're not spiritually alert, that you're doing what we're going to talk about next, which is dissipation. So dissipation, I had to look this up because I wanted to get this right. Now, dissipation means that there is something gathered, there's something that you're responsible for, and it gets scattered. So it can be money, it can be energy, it can be resources. There's something wasted, something foolishly wasted. Maybe their spiritual gifts, something the Lord has given you to be steward of or in charge of, or maybe they're even just general common graces that the Lord gives to everybody, and you don't appreciate them or you don't utilize them. So I think there's a failure here of stewardship of the things that the Lord has asked you to be careful with and maybe even responsible for. All right, so then he says, so these are the things that can be negatives, but then he says, stay awake at all times, praying that you may have strength to escape all these things that are going to take place and to stand before the Son of Man. So the escape part of this, first of all, he says this is coming to everybody. So this doesn't mean escape like I'm not going to have this period of time challenge me. If we have death, obviously we will. But if you're alive, then when Jesus comes back, it sounds like times are going to be pretty difficult. And he even says that all that dwell on the face of the earth are going to face this. But you're not going to face it alone. Here's the praying part of it. He says, be ready. Be ready to stand before the Son of Man. Be in a conversation with him. That's the prayer part of it. So the advice is be ready. And if you're standing before the Son of Man, here's my advice to you. Bow down. Why? Before his glory, bow down. Before his judgment, bow down. Before his wrath, bow down. Who can stand against any of this stuff? Nobody. So be ready enough, as it said in verse 28. We talked about this in episode number 70, to straighten up, raise your head. Your redemption is near. So he's coming back. So on one hand, we don't want to be ashamed. We don't want to be dissipating the resources that he's given us. But then we want to be humble enough that when we stand before the Son of Man, we're actually falling down and bowing before the Son of Man. So in conclusion, this means this is a great passage. Stay awake, be ready. The day is coming. Be spiritually ready. Have your heart ready. And then in the meantime, be watching yourself and praying in a conversation. What could I be doing better, Lord? Is there anything that I'd be ashamed of in action or a thought or maybe in inaction? How am I doing, Lord? Show me. This is the Holy Spirit's job, is to help us with this, to convict us, to display these things in our spirit. And let's be faithful in the things that the Lord has given us so that when we come and stand before the Lord, which we're all going to do, there's an offering that we have. There's that the things he's given us haven't been scattered and sifted through our fingertips. So watch yourself. Be spiritually alert. Thanks for listening.